Welcome to RacingRant's preview of Randwick for tomorrow. It's Missile Stakes Day. Excuse my haggard appearance. It's called Wyong on a Friday. Thank God there are only 63 runners. And most importantly, Glenn Pollard has gone to Wyong, and that enables us to have Roy Key back for a reprise of his, I think, May debut, was it? End of May?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Roy.
How are you, mate?
Thanks for coming,
Roy.
Roy.
How you going?
Gord teed it up, thanks to Gord. He's our production assistant, and Brody.
Well, I had a look at the fields and I thought, this is an incredibly hard program. Who am I going to throw? Yes.
Well, funnily enough, last time Roy was on, the rail went back into the true position at Randwick. The track was rain affected, and we turn up today, well, tomorrow, and obviously we had half an inch of rain Thursday night. Randwick's saying heavy 8, wind, sun, should get it back to about a 6. But yeah, similarly rain affected, similar rail position. I think I was playing Henny Penny last time, Roy, after our Doncaster day where we saw such a heavy rails bias. I think last time it wasn't as bad. We saw Kementari box seat and win the first. We saw, I think, Monasterio get up the inside and win, but it wasn't, it was okay, it was doable.
Well, yeah, it was first 5 races were leaders or rails, and then it fell apart. The last 4 winners come down the outside in the same lane. Allergic and Kudiro, all that sort of thing.
Right, that might explain why spending to win was $6.50 in the last from gate 1, perhaps, but we'll get to that in part 2. So, as I mentioned, a true rail at Randwick. Once upon a time it was a no-brainer. You just look for the conveyor belt down the outside. Nowadays, Randwick likes to play tricks, but I think that point that you made about the track, there being a bell rung at some stage, mid to late program, and suddenly the lanes go into operation. So, obviously, be wary of that.
Definitely.
Good opportunity to make some money, that.
Yeah, well, changing track. It reminded me a lot of Goulburn. The Goulburn is the track in New South Wales that plays that way, where you can watch the first 2 or 3 races and the inside's fine, perhaps even it's a bit of an advantage, and then all of a sudden they just start queuing up down the outside and winning all, the later races.
Generally, you're looking at higher standard horses in the later races as well.
Well, that's what the point I was about to make is that obviously we assess a lot of bias, particularly the provincials, based on the first few, which are generally maidens.
Yeah, they're poor guides.
And it's perhaps we're perhaps a bit too quick to form an opinion. Anyway, we have in race 1 a race that should be, in my opinion, race 5 or 6. It's an awesome 3-year-old race. It's a Golden Rose lead-up, and Addictive Nature is our favourite at $2.45. Brave Song is in attendance at $3.50. And then we're out to $10 Regiment, $10 Wild Heart, $11 Solar Patch, $12 for Noon, $17 Shogun Sun, and the Mighty Fed, who has won his past 2 starts in town, is the Roughie, resuming at $21. As far as the speed is concerned, I imagine that Addictive Nature, who went well forward on debut at 1100, is quickly into the van. And I had Regiment with the blue colours sitting outside. Wild Heart, who went back at Warwick Farm last time, but with blinkers on tomorrow, I think occupies a handy position, and the others can sort themselves out from there. So, Gordo, I'm going to throw this one to you to start with.
Well, I might just return serve, because I cut it down to 2 chances and I couldn't separate them. I didn't know how to line them up, so I'll leave it to you guys. Obviously, they were Brave Song and Addictive Nature. I think one of them wins. Don't know which one.
Right, so are you guided by the fact that that one's a point longer than the other, and would that
okay, when I first looked at the thought process, when you just have a quick scan across the field, I thought I'm going to find Brave Song on top here.
You hadn't got to number 4 by that stage.
And then when I looked at it closely, I had Addictive Nature on top, and then when I do the video replays after that, I thought that Brave Song's action was a little bit more stylish than Addictive Nature, so I came back to a neutral position.
Roy, help us settle this one.
I can't. I think there's 2 promising horses, the 2 you mentioned, Addictive Nature and Brave Song. At the price, I'm happy to be with Brave Song just because it's a bigger price.
Is it that simple? Because it is a deep race I mean, I know we're blown away by those two horses, but it is a deep race, you know, otherwise.
Yeah, there's some horses that can go, but I don't think they've got the potential of these two. If there was a knockout, I'd say probably third pick would be Regiment, just because it's had the one run, and it did a reasonable job there at Gosford.
Yeah. But won convincingly, but didn't really beat much, did it?
No,
so you
that
don't know
form
where to
hasn't been
stamp it.
special.
Yeah.
What do you mean? The inquiry got beaten 5, came out and won yesterday.
I think that's the only one that's come out of it, isn't it?
That was a very weak race yesterday.
Pablo Mas has been beaten twice in town out of it.
Yes, true enough, and it's probably your guide there. What about the idea that Warwick Farm might be a better setup? Brave Song is trained at Randwick, which is great, but his runs are at Canterbury, which is around the dish, whereas Warwick Farm perhaps represents something that's a little bit more real? Is that...
As far as style of running is concerned, my preference would be to Brave Song.
That was H. Bowman, on song. That was H. Bowman, like, I'm just about to land this premiership here.
Yeah. Got going at the right time.
I don't think that a lot of map people might have Brave Song well back here, but I don't think it will be. I think if you go back and watch that Canterbury win, he jumped second or third and restrained heavily. Yeah. I think he'll be 1-1 here.
Okay. Look, and he could be quite appealing on a neutral track coming home for the first time. But I came away from Addictive Nature's first start going, wow, that is a serious horse.
Yeah, he ran time.
So there's a horse that on debut starts 6-4, and Brave Song, I know he was ridden by Nick Haywood, and it was a lovely debut, but he was like 16-1.
Sure. Okay.
So for that reason, I've separated them.
Isn't it like Addictive Nature ran about a second faster than the other?
His time was very strong.
The other 1100 metre on the day too.
Yeah. That's Sakasi or whatever it's called.
Yeah. I don't want to give up on this race because I know that horses like Fanoon, who we yet to get a decent guide on, are going to be horses that, well, we're going to be looking at with interest in other races, if not this race.
Yeah, it's got ability. I don't think he can take the form line through the mission with...
It's a 900 metre race. It doesn't count,
wasn't
does it?
the mission that improved later on some of those wet tracks.
And Florida got beaten yesterday too, didn't it?
Yeah, well, that's right.
Let's move on, eh?
Gordo's made the call. I just think it's like I love August 3-year-olds. Like where we spoke at Gordo about the first two races on Wednesday. They're just races. They're the races that you want to get involved with, and the others are sort of you're doing it because they're there. Race 2 is the Fillies and Mares race, won by Birds of Tokyo last year. 1,800 metres, $3.40 La Chicabella, $3.70 long time ago. $5 the Mystery Waller horse Diapason, $8 Wangwa up in trip for the first time, $11 Miss Dubois, $12 Labdian. Seventh Sheik's going around at Wyong today, so we won't count her, and it's out to $23 next pick is Shanachie. Now, there's no brainers for who's going to be in the van here, although I suppose there could be some speculation about which one leads, but long time ago, and La Chicabella are quickly into their work here, leaving probably Labdian to take box seat and Diapason to seek out the 1-1. Gord, you may as well, given that you wanted to move on, you'll have to take this one up.
Definitely going to be backing number 4 a long time ago. I wasn't really impressed with the balance of Nick Haywood on it last start. I think he gave it absolutely no chance by having it uncomfortable in running, and this time is either going to lead or sit OSL, which I think will be a massive advantage. Pretty keen on it. I admit that the lightly raced La Chicabella has a chance and looks to be the danger, but I'm going to forgive that run last start a long time ago, and I'll definitely be backing it. The ones that I had question marks about, which maybe Roy can help us out a bit more, is 1 and 3 Mr. Bar and Diapason, because I penned them obviously because they yeah,
but it's at the changeover point. 1,800 metres, remember?
I know, it gets scary for me, doesn't it?
Well,
I know.
Didn't you say?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but didn't you say that the pen is actually is mightier, shorter distance?
Yeah, the pen is mightier over the sprint distance.
Roy, before we get to your prognostications, I want to ask you about what happened last Saturday, which was Nick Hayward was replaced Kerrin McAvoy on a long time ago and wasn't allowed to take his claim, and yet there was a senior rider available called H. Bowman who could have ridden the horse 1 kilo overweight, when in fact Nick Hayward rode his horse 2 kilos overweight.
Right.
Is that just Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah, I think so.
And the fact that like, who was off? K-Mac, was it?
K-Mac, yeah.
Like, K-Mac for Nick Hayward is chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
You know, K-Mac for Bowman is par,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what they should be looking for, shouldn't they?
Well, I think the stupider thing was the fact that the horse was actually ridden 2 kilos overweight, if they're going to really look at that, by not allowing him to take his claim. So do you have a preference here, Roy?
Look, as far as value goes, I couldn't really make much of the race. The 3 chances look to be the 2 you mentioned and the Melbourne horse Diapason. I'm going to say I'm happy to try this Melbourne horse Diapason. I think I watched its videos. I think it's got some ability. I think it got
Wallace had it the whole time. It's just a horse he's had down there all the time.
He should have won 2 starts ago at Sandown. He was terribly ridden, and then last start I think he just got beaten by a horse who might be going really well. Came from back and beat it fair and square.
Dalton is going really well, but I mean, you're looking at 2 pen jobs there for me, and that is not only Melbourne but also 6 or 7 start first prep.
Yeah, that's true.
But it has carried C. Newitt in 5 of those.
I can see long time ago being my second pick and La Chica Bella being 3rd pick and probably easing in the market. But yeah, I like the look of its Melbourne form. I think it's got a good chance. It's just going to park behind the lead here. So.
Well, he's a rider. He's a go-to rider in this situation, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Any comment on this Miss Dubois, who was trained by Patrick Payne and has had 1 run for Matthew Dunn, just turned up there at Caloundra and bloused them in a solidly run race. I see she had a run against Exocet, who we actually saw here in the PJ Bell over the autumn. No interest? She's by Haverhouse Chaparral?
No interest for me.
I had a look at that Morphville run because I think they're 2 decent horses that, you know, 7-year-old mare, funny preparation, pen job for me.
There's a horse at odds if you're really looking for a roughie.
Here we go. Roy's roughie.
Shanna Key. If you look at La Chica Bella is 5 to 2 or $3.50 or whatever in the market. Shanna Key finished behind it the other day but had no luck. Yeah. And it's 20 to 1 Shanna Key. But it's a pretty ordinary horse. It doesn't win there.
See, I had to go for a long time ago because I just can't get over like Little Miss Brown's 7th chick as being the form to win.
But they're well beaten. And
I know.
This horse had a very short betting mark. Look, I love the fact that a long time ago is out of Once Were Wild, who of course won the Oaks in probably ridden in similar fashion to a long time ago. Will be ridden tomorrow. Yeah. But La Chica Bella has just not disappointed me at any stage, particularly her last 2. I thought she was there. She was on a track that really made her a bit vulnerable the other day, and she did it easily. And the other 2 runs, the Arbeitsam run on the Saturday was outstanding over there on the inside. And she gave Noir, who was at the absolute peak of her powers, a horrible fright. She just wouldn't let go. So I favoured La Chica Bella. I thought that a long time ago was the obvious danger, and I wasn't interested in the rest. Race 3, 1400 metres, benchmark 81. I've never seen so many horses coming back in distance. Half the field is in fact coming back from at least 1500. $4.20 is our favourite, King Darcy. $4.60 Imperator Augustus, $7 Francesco, $7.50 Zorn Konig, $8 Sonic Swish, $9 Dane Thunder, the shipper, and then we're out to $14 He's a Given, $18 Maracaba, $21 the other 2. I speak of Brazen and Dorf Star. Now, Imperator Augustus will be positive early, but I imagine that Hieronymus from the leader's gate here, King Darcy, will find the front unless he actually wants to sit outside. Francesco, He's a Given, and possibly Dane Thunder lobs into a reasonable enough spot. Commodore Garden race, Roy, but...
yeah, it's a bit of a Wednesday race, isn't it?
What are you thinking?
There's a horse that they've got the wrong price up about here called Dorf Star. It's actually going pretty well. I mean, this is just a midweek race, so don't be scared that it's, sort of looks like a midweek sort of horse with those Warwick Farm wins and stuff. it's got poor wet stats, but if you look at those wet runs, they're actually not that bad. So I'm not too worried about the wet. T. Clark goes on. Little 1,000-metre pipe opener for it the other day. It's just overpriced, $17 or something ridiculous.
21. So
you've absolutely convinced me, and I'm going to jump in and
hang on,
get as much of it as I can.
A roughie.
Well, that's it. That's why I don't mind having a bit of a play, just a bit of a hedge bet. I don't think it'll be winning. I think there's another horse that'll be winning the race, but I admit that's the wrong price.
Yes. Do you want to speak of anything else in the race, Roy?
Oh, look, it's not a race I was overly interested in. Chances with King Darcy, Francesco seem good odds.
Right, yeah, you're not enamoured of this lot. They're your do I have to do this crowd?
Yeah.
So
I've just like,
where are we going here?
I
Lord?
thought that any Salerno form was going to be bad, but that's wrong now, isn't it? So yeah, and Pro Consul ran, you know.
Yeah, but that's 1,000-metre form. Doesn't it just belong? I've got no qualms about Dwarf Star running in that race. That's a barrier trial.
Yeah.
And
Can you say that?
Oh, that was that's linked to the fine.
Trying to get me in trouble.
Trying no.
And I don't know what switched him on last preparation when T. England started just like fizzing him home. But I think he's a late bloomer, Dwarf Star. Gordo, what?
Very keen on number 5, King Darcy. Loved its first run back from a spell, and then I thought was very poorly ridden by C. Vanderworth. And having to go from barrier 2 just didn't look comfortable on the inside now. You notice the stable put Adam Hieronymus on the winner and Vanderworth on this thing. Now Hieronymus is on this one. It's going to improve, and I think it'll be winning. Love the golden switch to the wide barrier. Love the jockey. If you're right about the map mark, and this thing actually does get to the lead in front of Imperator Augustus, I think this race is all over. If it sits OSL, then there's a question mark.
But it's got a strong feel of that when King Darcy won at Warwick Farm. He was coming back in distance that day, but in the first Saturday in January where he drew 2, but he was actually driven to be outside lead because the inside was a bit off. He beat Zorn Koenig comfortably on that occasion. Zorn Koenig seems, I know he's got K. McAvoy on second up, but he did less than 0 first up, a horse that...
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to mark it up?
Well, you know, there was
that too.
Big rap on it when it put those wins together last preparation, and then had a bit of a rap on it. And Glenn was always finding it from the Manning Yard as a really nice looking, stylish horse.
You know, Snowden's, you know...
Got to see it do something this time.
Yeah.
I would think so. The pen job actually had interesting looking form, and I was cursing not being across what happens down in Melbourne, because you remember the horse PK Prince, is it PK Prince that ran up here in the Invincible Night race, right? B. Abdallah set it a huge task. It just kept trying.
Pekaya Prince.
Prince goes back to the midweeks in Melbourne off that run and starts $8. Crying I was when I saw that. But anyway, such is life. King Darcy is my pin-up boy here. I'll say no more. The highway, which is cracking, really good highway this time.
This is awesome.
This is one of the best I've seen. $2.80 Care to Think, scratch from Doomben. $3.90 Superstar Bob. $7 Gitan, $8 Macfie Lass, $17 Puzzling Wonder, and no need to speak about the rest. I had Gitan finding the front. Mr. Marmalade, I'm actually hoping races at... where are the races on Monday? Not Warren, but whoop, somewhere.
Too far ahead for me.
Yeah, so Mr. Marmalade is an acceptor for some other race, but he's obviously back in distance, but an on-pacer. Glenn's horse Sticky Beak went well forward the other day, and I suppose from 15...
Is it Hong Kong Darren's horse or Glenn's horse? I don't know.
Look, Superstar Bob is lightly raced and shouldn't be too far away coming off a proper Saturday race, 1200 up to 1400, and Puzzling Wonder doesn't give his gate away. Even tempo, I made it, perhaps a touch more solid than that. Where do you want to start, Roy?
I think Care to Think's the one to beat. Look, it doesn't map very well, gets back a bit, but that form looks really good in Brisbane. The 4th horse in its last start, Win Prioritise, it came out and looked like a jet last week in Brisbane. that's good form. And look, you know, he'll have his knockers, and he probably isn't any value at the price he is at the moment. But he's clearly the one to beat. And if he gets a bit of luck from that wide barrier, he'll be running home over the top of him.
Well, what about the fact that they ran against each other before Superstar Bob?
They're both having their second start in the race, weren't they?
Yeah.
A while back or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought Superstar Bob was very dynamic winning that race.
Yeah, yeah. He's got ability. He's obviously going to be hard to beat.
And
He's on pace.
a clever platform.
Yep.
Look, I love the fact that he was in a proper Saturday Metropolitan race last start and didn't get beaten too far. I
have my slight doubts about that. The blue colours horse,
Chatterchuck,
was just
stuck on too well,
overperforming way too well. But he was only first up. I mean, you couldn't have prepared it better for the race.
Well, I heard from the stable that they have a high opinion of this horse, and that it wasn't 100% ready for that run. So you're not 100% ready, and you run in proper Saturday Metropolitan against some decent horses in Argent Dior and Spending to Win, and not get beaten far. I think that's a great platform to take this out. And he's actually previously beaten Care to Think. I'm not as much on top of the Brisbane stuff as you are, Roy. So you make some good points there. And you know, you can't get away from the fact that in highways, leading is very important. And I like the setup of Gitan as well. I love the fact Kay Latham off for T Clark on. I love the barrier trial freshen up. I love the fact that it was a Wednesday Metropolitan race against the Woke and the Pharaoh, where I thought it was quite a reasonable run to sit outside lead and hold on like it did.
Both of those horses have run super since.
Yeah. So the two I'm interested in are Superstar Bob and Gitan, but I take your point about number 2, but I am very keen to bet in the race.
I just want to make mention also of a horse. Look, I don't have a lot of luck with a jockey, but McAfee Lass.
Flew last start. Wasn't it beautiful, Mark?
That was huge. It's got ability, this horse. I don't know if it can come from back here with the...
What was he up to trying the bloody... He was on the Queensland Oaks path.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the horse has got ability. Again, probably doesn't really map very well here, but...
Stable flying.
Turn a foot.
Yeah, it was a major horse of interest in a race that was, normally it'd almost be a go-to.
Like McAfee Lass has just found the wrong highway, hasn't it?
Well, she beat up a horse that was coming off a big win on the course and distance. Gord, you would have been enamoured of her last start because of a little jockey change there.
Who's that? Oh, I was all over McAfee Lass last start. Made a mozza out of it. Thought it was immoral. Love the fact that Buckley came off for R King, which is about the biggest jockey change you can get these days. But anyway, that's not a lot of
love for Buckley on at the moment. So sorry about that, Grant, but that's we're punters. This is outstanding, and I love the line through numbers 2 and 3, and one of my favourite horses is in this race, and that's Gitan, who just
the fighter.
Yeah, he's a caged lion.
Yeah.
That's what he is. So these other two are a bit flashier, and more mainstream, better looking.
Well,
I mean, handsome.
What about the jockey change on Gitan as well? Like, it's just...
Yeah, so I did get very excited when I saw that, and I do have to put up with the fact that there's 2 huge chances there, 2 and 3, and half a chance number 8. Great highway, that'll do it. Race 5, before we leave you in part 1, the 2,400 metre compulsory race of the day, $2.70 off a break, Sayed. And then we're out to $7.50 Get on the Grange, off his second in the Grafton Cup, scratch from Doomben. $8 Vassal, $8 Life of Brian, $10 Ashley Marie, $10 Go Betty, $13 Global Gentle, who started 50s in Melbourne last start, $17 Celestial Choice, $19 King's Officer, and rough is Ouvray and 4 Carat, roughest Count of Lemonade. Looks a particularly fast run, 2,400. Did you get a handle on the speed here, Roy?
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Ashley Marie is a leader.
Noted leader, yeah.
Count of Lemonade is a right up on speed horse. Global Gentle has got plenty of toe. Life of Brian is a one batter that just wants to get up there. Celestial Choice won't be too far away.
Yep.
which should give the favourite, I guess, a fairly decent run. And Auvray is another wild card for speed. He raced incredibly close in the Rolly Mile or the Hawkesbury Cup or the Rolly Mile? The Hawkesbury standalone day, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm making too fine a point.
He races handy.
Yeah, so it's a very, very fast run race. But I must say, when I first looked at this race, I went, well, Sayed, everything went right for it the other day, and
Few moments.
time off. So it wasn't like a horse that I was, I sort of reluctantly conceded its main chance here rather than getting excited.
Main chance and unders. Like, I can't have it at the 6-4, 7-4, something at the moment.
I actually like that
Seems
line,
like
main
short.
chance and unders.
Yeah, well, I mean, he looks the top pick, but he doesn't seem like a price I could be interested in.
Well, it's a distance race, isn't it?
Is
That's right.
is there a price that does interest you? Or is it spread evenly amongst the other horses?
Well, if he got out a bit, yeah, I'd be interested, but I don't think he's a $2.60 conveyance.
What does that create a value runner for you, but because he's
Yeah,
under
definitely.
the
I mean,
market?
if you look at the form line through Go Benny, it seems good odds. I mean, he wasn't far away from him recently, and
Yeah.
he's double figures, and he should have won a race at Warwick Farm there, that Go
Well,
Benny.
his setup is better. Right? Look, he did start 20s the day he ran against Sayed, but since then he's had 2 runs. He went back to 2200, and then he went back to 2000, and the race was most unsuitable last week.
That's right, and it's on the backup. So I thought it was overs in the race, and I'm going to give a little bit of a chance to this Global Gentle from Melbourne. I thought that win was all right.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Two.
I know.
No, there's 3.
No, he's
gone 2 Melbourne
Two
form
Melbourne
lines
horses.
and a Brisbane form line. What
That's
the
right,
hell's
that's
going
right.
on?
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to have a point of difference on the show.
He's
Oh.
all right. Well, you're hoping to leave your mark here, Roy. Is it because he's got Eastern European form?
Yeah, well, he's an ex
Communist.
he's an ex-import, and we don't know much about him, and we know plenty about the others here, and they're no good.
Yeah,
They're not going anywhere, are they? I mean, Sayed might be the only one that you could see winning a race down the track, a decent race down the track, but the rest of them, some of them are midweekers.
Yeah.
I mean, even Go Benny, like, he's not really going anywhere. He just seems a big price.
A lot of these horses could run around in a distance race on a Thursday and be $8.
What's the difference? Like, there's distance, like, as soon as you get up over distance, they're all slow, so your classes are narrower and narrower.
Have you found anything, Mark? I'm taking $66. I am so not betting in this race. I'm double charging.
Look, the 2 horses that piqued my interest were Vassal, who shone at the 2400 last time.
Don't do it to yourself, Mark. Vassal.
Well, he looked a similar setup to Go Benny in the sense that he was unsuited by being back in the field there at Rosehill last week. I also marked Go Benny a 6-1 chance as well in this race. So I said 3-1 Sayed, 6-1 Vassal, 6-1 Go Benny, and that's where I was looking. I am a little surprised at the fact that King's Officer seems to have recaptured something. He, of course, ran shorter than Life of Brian in the Canterbury race and was given no chance, and has since gone to Warwick Farm and run surprisingly well at the 2200. We've never seen him at 2400. Perhaps I should be not talking about him, but
He's
He's a wetty too, isn't he?
a little bit, yeah. He's
well,
limited.
he's one of those go-rounders.
Yeah.
Ashley Marie I didn't consider, whereas I take your point on Global Gentle, and I wasn't keen on Get on the Grange. I know people will see second in the Grafton Cup, but it was PR of PR of PR, and I don't like away form as a rule. That'll do us for part 1.
Cracking part 2. Eh? Some great horses returning.
There you go.
Fitness
So
v style and class.
we look forward to it. So catch you soon in part 2 of this Randwick program.